Are you tired? Welcome back to Intuitive Innovations. That's the question I'm going to start with. Hi, I'm Luna. We're usually at 216 Creator Studios, but this is a cozy topic, so we're going to get cozy at home together. Are you tired? And I'm not talking like you didn't sleep last night, you haven't slept for a couple nights, maybe the Schumann's really affecting you. I'm talking the kind of tired that is soul level, the tired of caring for everyone, the tired of caring everyone, the tired of being the strong one, the tired of trying to fix everything, tired of pretending you're okay. So today we're going to talk about the hidden cost of losing yourself. And I want to start with kind of a key question. So if you're joining us, welcome and thank you for being here. This is our podcast and we're very proud of it. Couple things. Have you spent so much of your time catering to the needs of other people that you have forgotten who you are? That question hits me hard. And maybe you can answer that, interact with us in our chat, interact with us on our streaming apps that we're on right now, across multiple streaming apps. And if you're listening to this on recording, you know what I mean. As a woman, as a mother, as a wife, all those titles, I kept putting for the longest time everybody's needs ahead of mine. And I remember being so angry the first time I heard the theory of put your oxygen mask on first, because I thought, I got to take care of my kids. Of course, I'm going to make sure they're breathing before I am. And then it hits me. If I can't breathe, I can't take care of them. That applies to all areas of the life. So when we talk about how we lose ourselves and we move into this first segment of how people, but predominantly I'm going to speak to my Gen X sisters and my millennial sisters. We all lose ourselves, but this is my demographic of who I'm speaking to. How do you lose yourself? Well, first and foremost, it can be in your marriage, right? You're wide-eyed and in love, and you've got the butterflies, which butterflies does not mean that you're in love, but we'll have to do another episode on that. That literally is a warning sign sometimes. So you lose yourself in the marriage. You're in a marriage and you're slowly eroding. Things that you said would be non-negotiables, you just cave on because, and it doesn't matter. I'm not saying you're in a bad marriage. I'm not saying you're in a good marriage. I'm just saying you slowly start to lose yourself in that marriage. Maybe your hobbies change, your interests change, your tonality changes because now you're working with somebody else. Maybe things start to irritate you and you build resentment, you can start to lose yourself. You lose your vitality, you lose your vibration of your youth and your life force. That's one place. I'll tell you where I lost myself the most, and this may be controversial and this may hit a nerve, but it was being a mother. Motherhood stripped me of my damn identity. And you come for me in the chats, come for me in the talk, but motherhood stripped me of my identity. And it forced me, in some instances, thank God my soul is as strong as it is, because the mama mafia came for me and you had to act this way and you have to conform this way. And, I'm seeing so many kids running around not being parented the way that I wanted to parent my kids, but I was getting so much pressure. Well, mom, so-and-so's mom lets me. Well, you don't live in that house. You live in this house, right? So motherhood, I felt like I needed to pour everything into my children. I mean, everything, my last drop of life force into my children. And it would make me so sick because I wasn't taking care of myself. I wasn't nourishing myself. I wasn't treating myself well. Okay. That was the hard part. That was absolutely the hard part. Caregiving. Maybe you're Gen X or a millennial like I am, and you're stuck between this area of I'm raising my children and now I have elderly parents. And you get lost there doing tasks and chores. Same thing with back being with motherhood. Those tasks and chores of mental load, of knowing the doctor's appointments, knowing where all their stuff is. Or, hey, sometimes they love to throw you a curveball and say, hey, mom, it's 10 o'clock at night. I was supposed to do this diorama project on, I don't know, cardboard, something. And now you're like, holy crap, what store is open at 10 o'clock at night that I can go get poster board and glitter glue and help them deal with this? Like, they don't wake dad up for that. They truly don't. And no disrespect to the fathers that are hardworking out there and happy early Father's Day. We'll talk a little bit about that on our next show. But caregiving, your career. Oh my God, did I lose myself in a career as a teacher, as a career educator for so many years, trying to just give everything to my students, be everything for my students. And, it was definitely a challenge. It was definitely a challenge. So sitting there, sitting in that energy of wanting to give everything, but still not making donations, making sacrifices. So make sure you know the difference. A donation you can give because you have a surplus. That's a surplus of your money, a surplus of your items, a surplus of your peace, a surplus of your energy. That's a donation. A sacrifice is done from a place of lack. And the universe recognizes that, and then it causes you to have more lack. So make sure you know the difference of that. Trauma. Whew, that's a tough one. I lost myself to trauma, to the many years of facing my traumas, handling my traumas, having my vision through them. That was difficult. And then that took you into survival mode. And just doing these things that just would keep a little straw above the water so I could breathe, so I could feel human again, so I could wonder what the hell is my purpose? Because I'm not supposed to be here struggling, right? I didn't wake up one morning and go, "Hi, I'm Luna. I'm volunteering to lose myself." It's like a gradual process. It's every time you compromise yourself, when you want to say no, but you say yes to keep the peace, when you want to say no to the mama mafia, and you still say yes and end up exhausting yourself to make or give or donate or be, it's one sacrifice at a time. I'll handle it. Oh my God, as a Capricorn who is a recovered perfectionist, I would see people doing things and I'd be like, that's not cool. It's just not done well. It's done half-assed, in my opinion, right? I guess maybe that's just my own struggle. And I'd be like, no, I'll handle it. Or I'd be the person, I remember when I was in grad school, I was in my second master's, and I would be put on team projects that I cannot stand. I don't know why they encourage, I'd rather do every project by myself. And I would do the entire project for the group. And then the damn patriarchal professor would praise the men in the group. Oh, this was a brilliant insight. And I'd be like, they didn't do shit. So, and I just say, I'll handle it. I want it to be done with quality. Um, and the question is like, I could have stood up and be like, hey, professor, stop being such a jerk. I did this. But then, you know what, at that point, I wasn't the version of myself that I am now. I definitely now would be like, yeah, let's have a little chat about how this was completed by me. And not a single other group member did anything. So just put my name on it. Um, the question, though, leads to this. When was the last time you chose yourself? As we look at the burnout as a symptom of segment 2, this is going to kind of shift your perspective a little bit. Burnout isn't always the problem. Burnout is often the symptom. And you're going to be like, no, but Luna, I'm moving, I'm going, I'm doing, I have to do all this stuff. Right. That's the symptom. It's not the problem. It's the symptom. And I'll tell you what the symptom of it is: people pleasing. The moment you start living your life on your terms and you don't give a rat's ass about anybody else. I mean, I'm not saying being disrespectful. I'm not saying, being a jerk. I'm not speaking that way. If you're a jerk, you shouldn't even be in this damn podcast. I'm saying people pleasing. I'm saying yes when you mean no. I'm saying over giving. I'm saying approval sucking. I'm saying ignoring your own intuition to make somebody more comfortable. Are you guilty of that? I was. Ignoring your needs. Like, I'm sorry, I'm very vocal now. My husband will attest to this. If I need something, I'm very vocal. I don't play this like little, let's see if you can figure it out and guess what Luna needs. No, I'm like, hey, Cinnamon, I need this, 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 and this. This is how I'm feeling right now. I need this and that. And I'll tell you, last night, it was interesting. I caught myself in a position where I kind of was like huffy and I was feeling like triggered. And I looked at Schumann and it made sense to me. And I was just like, this is what I need right now. This is how I need to be treated. This is how I need everything to kind of come through. So I'm not ignoring my own intuition ever again. And my intuition has kept me safe and in situations where people thought I was overreacting. Because here's the deal, when you're using your intuition, your pattern recognition, and your discernment, and you start to say, I don't feel comfortable around that person, and they'll be like, oh, he's a great guy. He's fabulous. Oh my God, he does. And I'm like, I just don't feel comfortable around that guy. And then it comes to find out later that guy was a real scumbag. Well, I got to trust my intuition. And people be like, oh, Luna, you're exaggerating. No, I'm not exaggerating. I'm being and honoring myself. I am refusing. I am refusing, hands down, hand to God, refusing to try to fit in any longer. When I am here, I will belong to myself and I will belong to standing out because this is my glory and the way I was created by my divine creator to be true to me. Okay. So I'm not living for everyone else anymore. I love my children. I love my husband. I love my black cat that's sleeping on over there. I love everybody that I come in contact with that has a good, loving heart, that is trying their best. But I'm not living for you guys. I'm living for Luna. Okay. So the power question I have is, what if you're not exhausted because you're doing too much? Like you might be just feeling that exhaustion. It's not because you're doing too much. Like I love doing a lot of things. I'm a very hyper person. We were just talking about this before the stream began. I'm very energetic. I have this, what did I say? I have an old soul and a young spirit in a middle-aged body. And I love that. I love to do a lot. I love to be active. I love to be creating. I mean, damn it, I became a streamer at 50 and a podcast host. These are not normally things people pick up later in life, but here we are. It's not about doing too much. It's about doing the right stuff. Okay, you might not belong to yourself anymore, honey. Sis, you might not belong to yourself anymore. You have such autonomy that you have shackled yourself to pleasing other people. And I have people come in my live all the time. Oh, Luna, I'm working on boundaries. Bullshit. You can't work on boundaries and then betray yourself. The most important boundary you will always have is one that allows you to be centered in the story of your own life and not betray yourself. So, I see it all the time and I call bullshit. I call bullshit because I know in my heart of hearts that betraying yourself is one I'm not willing to do. Okay. And please listen to the next thing I'm about to say. You are not too much. Okay. People used to tell me, oh, you're too loud, you're intuitive, you're too this, you're too formal, you're too outgoing, you're too. That's their own projection. I am just authentically me. And if I'm too much for you, you're not enough for me. Maybe that's the problem. And I wish throughout my relationships when people would say I was too something, followed by an adjective that was too loud, too brash, too forward, too bossy. Oh my God, bossy in women. I'm not bossy. I'm a damn CEO of 2 companies. If that makes me too much, you're not enough. Start working harder, right? You've been simply giving yourself away too much. Like that's what you've been doing too much of is little pieces of yourself, little mosaics of yourself. And I know I call my power back. And as I call my power back and as I return to myself and as we're entering tomorrow, this 6/6 portal on TikTok, I'm doing some very specific intentional work and readings to bring back people to themselves. So if that's something you're interested in on on the TikTok side of things, you can check out my bio and there's some information in that. When we move into segment 3 here, the cost of performing, let's talk about this. Like we're very performative. You wear a lot of masks. What mask do you wear? Who are you at work? Who are you at home? Who are you in the dating life? Who are you with your children? Who are you with the neighbor down the block, right? Are you the good girl? Oh God, I used to be the good girl. No, I'm just I'm just trouble, I guess. I'm too much. Redacted. Are you the strong one? Oh yeah. I had that reputation with a ton of people that when shit hit the fan, I'm calling Luna. I would get the phone calls from people. Oh, I don't know how to solve this problem. I don't know how to handle this. What do I do? What does your intuition say? Will you do a reading for me? We did it. I was like, hold on a minute here. Hi. I haven't heard from you in 3 months. What's going on? How's your family? You want to grab a cup of coffee? Oh no, I'm busy. But could you help me with this one situation? I was also the responsible one. Oh, if you're the responsible one, you're usually the strong one, the one that picked up the slack all the time. You're the fixer. Same thing here. Fix this. Do this. Where is this? Where's that? How do I find that? How do I, the caretaker? And you fit into probably multiple of these, making sure that everybody feels seen, heard, cared for. I still play that role, but I play it from my perspective of the boundaries around my energy. Who are you trying to convince? This is the one where I woke up one day and I was like, son of a bitch. Who am I trying to convince? Like, I'm playing roles in my life, like I'm some kind of actress. And that's something I struggle with social media is they expect us all to be kind of cookie cutter in one way, and I'm not. I am definitely swimming against the stream, and I'm proud of myself for that. And it may be arduous and maybe a little bit of a longer swim, but I'm going to do it my way. Kind of very, what is that, Frank Sinatra? I did it my way. Who benefits when you stay small? Everybody fucking else. Everybody else. I said it. Who benefits when you stay small? Not you, but the people that have enjoyed literally plugging into you like you're a Tesla port, charging off of you, having you do everything for them. Every person benefits from you when you play it small because now you're cowering and you're shrinking in your energy and your own authenticity. Who benefits when you stay exhausted? Same damn people because you're too tired to fight them. I love my children beyond words. And I'm going to bring in a tender moment. I asked them once, I said, what version of me do you think was the best mother that you had? You know what time they chose? Not the time that I'm the most healed in my own power, in my own self, in my own alignment. They chose the year I was in a very messy divorce. I was at the lowest point of my entire life. I had to move back in to an apartment after living in houses most of my adult life. And, I worked really hard and I lost everything. And they said that was the best time. And I realized that was the time I was most exhausted and I was most small. So anything that they wanted, I just said yes. I couldn't fight it. And I felt so guilty for having to bring them through a second divorce. I divorced their dad. Then I divorced a sociopath narcissist who threatened to kill me. And I felt like I'd put them in harm's way. They were fine. Nothing happened to them. Praise be to God on that. But that was the version of me they loved the most. The small, hurting, unseen, exhausted mom that wouldn't say no. They're not doing so hot with this version of me, I'll tell you that much. Okay. At some point, survival will stop being a season and become your identity. That happened to me. It stopped becoming, I just have to get through this. It became a pattern of now I have to survive X, Y, and Z. In my system was physically craving trauma. That's disturbing when you come to that realization, when you're honest with yourself and you're like, I'm craving trauma. I'm craving, not drama, but trauma. Like my system could recognize trauma. So when I met my husband, it took a while for me to trust the kindness, the goodness, somebody just wanting to love me. And not because I was performing or doing, but because I was truly allowing myself to be vulnerable and be seen. I had already stepped into and I was already doing that work. So when my energy met his energy, I knew the woman I was. I knew my power. I knew the version of myself I was becoming. And he started walking that road with me. Now, if you know, if you know Cinnamon, he's nuts. I'm nuts. But we work together. We're very different. But we complement each other in such a beautiful way. And the authenticity of me being me and him being him and showing up in our relationship, that's the real magic. That's the real magic. So at some point, I had to unpack the backpack of trauma and say, no more, no more. And I put boundaries around myself and not like a fence or not this blocked heart, but just I'm putting myself first. And people called that selfish. No, I called that self-respect. I called that self-care. I called that self-regulation because from a very young age, I had learned to live in instability with an alcoholic mother. And I learned to read, and again, then we go back to pattern recognition and discernment, to walk into a room and understand, was I safe? What did I have to do to create safety for myself and my siblings? And they never had that burden. They never had that burden because I took care of it for them. And unfortunately, I find myself distanced from those people. And I find myself distanced from friends that used to be friends because they only were friends when they wanted something or needed something. Oh, you want to have a good time? Call Luna up. Let's go out with Luna. Watch her do something crazy fun. She's a crazy fun friend. I was going through hard stuff, and only one of them called me. So I finally said, thank you, bless you, I'm done, goodbye. Nothing performative, just I appreciate your energy, but I'm not welcoming it in my reality anymore. I appreciate your energy, but I'm not welcoming it in my reality anymore. Same thing. As I'm on this social media journey, there's people that as their energy refuses to elevate and evolve, they're no longer a part of my social media communities. Okay, that's on them. I bless them, I say goodbye, and that's it. I don't explain anything anymore. I don't need to. I'm living in my own authenticity. Okay. So, very important as you sit with that, where can you start aligning and not performing? Where can you sit in that authenticity of self and stop feeling like you have to razzle dazzle? You know, it's even as simple as somebody asks you how you're doing. I'm fine. I'm good. I'm okay. No, you're not. If you're not fine, you're not good, you're not okay. Don't say that. Don't live in the energy of it's okay, I'll be fine, I'll be okay. No, express how you're feeling, own your feelings, reframe it, reshape it, and then move it. Move it into the energy of becoming the better version of yourself. As we look at this, how do you know that you are exhausted? How do you know that now you're finally getting called back to yourself? How do you know that we're no longer performing? But what are those signs in this next segment that we're looking at here that you are now being called back to home? And I'll pause for a second. I know there's a couple of questions coming up here. Um, welcome in, welcome in. Yep, I'm just taking a second to look at the chat. People, okay, you're going to read this to me. It's so, oh my God, I got to put my glasses on. People get upset when you're not available to everybody. Yeah, okay. Who gives a shit? People are going to get upset if you are available to everybody. They're going to criticize you one way or another. Okay. Yes. Thank you for making that bigger. Swimming against the stream is tiring, but worth the journey. 100% worth the journey. It's 100% worth the journey. You had to go to the doctor this week. Not felt this bad in a long time. I'm sorry you had to go to the doctor. Um, you stopped trusting, period. Okay. But what's that going to do for you? You stopped trusting because you stopped trusting yourself. I trust a lot of people. I have faith in a lot of, well, not a lot of people. I have faith in a core group of people. But the person I have the most amount of faith in is myself. Is myself. Listen, you're going to show up somewhere and you're going to do everything perfectly the way people all want you to do. And it's still not going to be good enough for some. Whereas on the other side, you could do the smallest amount of something for somebody and they could be truly appreciative and grateful. The wrong people will always demand more of you and take the maximum amount they can from you. The right people will always be grateful for that grain of sand. So start paying attention. Start paying attention to how people respond when you say no. No, I'm not coming to that party. No, I'm not going to make those 85 brownies. No, I don't feel like it. And I don't have to explain myself. When I say no, they're like, but why not? No is a complete sentence. And if they start to demand an explanation, I just start to pull back. No, I don't have to tell you. No, That's none of your damn business. Nope, I'm not interested. Thank you, no thank you, next. So if you've gotten to that point where you don't trust yourself, and maybe your heart is hardening, which is what I'm not saying to do. This may come off sounding like I'm a frigid cold bitch. Okay, that's your opinion. I have a loving, warm heart, but I've come to recognize that I need to protect myself, that I need to be in an environment. I'll give you another perfect example of how I will do what I want to do when I want to do it. I love watching my kids perform. My daughter is a beautiful singer and an actress. My son is still in the hunt towards state baseball championship. My oldest daughter was an amazing softball player, and I do love going to their events. But it's gotten to a point where we would show up, my husband and I, and they would be rude. Like, oh God, why are you here? Excuse me? Then it's gotten to a point where all the other parents that went to every single thing and every single event would be like, oh, nice of you to finally show up. I thought so too. I went to one of my son's baseball games. It was his senior night. I sat on the bleachers, the visiting bleachers, all by myself. Because I wasn't going to go sit in the mess with everybody else. And I didn't want to look like I wasn't trying to I wasn't trying to fit in. I was trying to honor my son who invited me to the senior night and be a part of it. And then I watched and proceeded as I was ostracized, ostracized for not behaving the way they wanted me to behave. I wore the jersey. I appreciated my son's game. I cheered, but I refused to let them bully me. One person said hello to me. One. And did that very awkwardly as she watched other people look at her for being kind to me. Okay, so in the end, I ended up being very proud of myself and sat in my own solitude celebrating my son. Now, I bring in these personal examples not because I want to talk about myself, but because I want to show you, even on the healing journey, that hurt. It hurt. My daughter was sitting over there with my ex-husband and about 100 other parents on the other bleacher side. I sat alone. And I was okay with that. And I called my husband. I said, this is what's going on. And he was so upset for me. I said, I understand. I recognize this. But this isn't about me in this moment. I was making a donation to my son to be there. And some of you could be like, well, how can you can't go to every game? My life, as much as I love my children, as much as I love being a part of raising them to be their own human beings, my life does not revolve around my children. And mothers might come for me for saying that. My life revolves around my life and what I choose to have and whom I choose to have in this life. I've made so many sacrifices in the earlier years of their lives that I'm paying the cost for it now. I'm paying the cost for it now in a lot of ways. And if I feel like, regardless of who the person's title is in my life, if they're not treating me with a level of kindness, love, respect, they don't get access to me. And that includes my kids. That includes my husband if he started getting a little sideways with me. I shut down access. Access denied. And again, I know a lot of moms will be like, well, you don't. Your opinion can go straight to the trash about me because you've not lived my experience. And that's why I don't judge other people. I'll look at things and I'll give advice and I'll provide services when I'm doing readings. But in the end, all of this is about you showing up authentically as yourself and not having to play it small to make other people feel comfortable. Okay. So how do we know we're being called back to ourselves? This is segment 4. I knew spirit was calling me back to myself because I started withdrawing, kind of like the hermit energy. There was definitely a lot more periods of silence. I started craving silence. Drama exhausts me. I don't want to be a part of anybody's drama. There's a lot of times on TikTok when I'm doing readings, I don't want to be a part of your damn drama. I will help you. I'll give you advice. But if you keep repeating the same patterns, I might just kick you out of the community because I don't want your damn drama. Bless you, but I don't want your drama. I don't want the drama with my family of origin. I don't want the drama with my exes. I don't want the drama with my children. I will just literally pull away and say, hey, figure your shit out. I don't want to be a part of your gossip circle. Gossip is low level shit. Okay. I start questioning relationships. I start looking at people and I'm like, is this relationship bringing value to my life? Is my relationship bringing value to their life? If not, peace, done, goodbye, cut. A dear friend of mine that I absolutely love, my friend Casey, said once, I treat people like a light switch. I said, like a light switch. And this was as I was starting to heal. This was years and years ago. He goes, when I'm done with them, I turn them off. And I turn off that energy. And it's off. I don't need to be in an airport and announce my departure. Click, light switch off. You crave simplicity. Oh my God, I crave simplicity. Yeah, I think of Thoreau. Thoreau talked about keeping things very simple. He went out in the woods. I think I want to go to the woods. I'll be the witch in the woods. And you start questioning everything, like, again, with pattern recognition, with discernment, with all of these things that are very easy to put together. You start to question everything and you're like, the hell, I caught you going sideways on this. Like, you clock the energy and you're like, hmm. Your intuition gets so much louder. Oh my God. So I feel like it just screams at me. And I'm like, oh, my intuition's screaming, right? It's like, I swear sometimes my spirit team feels like it has a, like a plastic bat, like one of those ones, a foam bat, maybe that's a better way to put it, as a foam bat. And it will keep hitting me with the same information until I recognize it. It's like, we're repeating the same message, we're repeating the same message, we're repeating the same. Luna, pay attention. Luna, pay attention. Luna, pay attention. Luna, pay attention. And I'm like, got it, clocked. Does that resonate with you guys? I'll pause for a second. Nico, do we have anything coming through? Does that resonate with um, everybody that's our community that's here? Does it resonate with you, Nico? I know you're on your own spiritual journey as well. We'll give it a pause for a second for everybody to kind of come to understanding. And P.S. Capricorn, boss of universe. I see a question coming in here. Okay, perfect. So yeah, I'm seeing a lot of lot of resonance, a lot of people feeling connected to that. Here's the one. If you come from a dysfunctional family, you've been told that there's something wrong with you. Spoiler alert, what happens if there's nothing wrong with you? There's absolutely nothing wrong with you. What happens if all these things I was talking about people pleasing, approval sucking, not living in your authenticity, was just causing you illness, was causing you despair, was causing you anxiety and stress, but you're pulled away from your center. So what happens if there's nothing wrong with you? What if you're just evolving? And I feel this way sometimes too. And I know it is an overused, extended metaphor for evolution, but there's a beautiful thought to it. There's a beautiful thought to it. And I've used it multiple times as a butterfly. It starts as this caterpillar. It's on the ground with its friends. A low vibe. I also thought this was kind of cool when you think of a caterpillar. It's in low vibe energy. It's doing caterpillar shit. It's low energy. It's on the ground. Caterpillar was probably gossiping with other caterpillars, being like, did you see so-and-so? How dare she wear that outfit? Blah, blah, blah. Did you know so-and-so's getting a divorce? How dare them? He was cheating for years. Like this low caterpillar energy, right? And then one caterpillar is like, I can't handle this noise anymore. And it decides, let's climb up. Let's evolve up the chain. Let's get to a higher vibe. So it gets into a tree. And all of a sudden it's like forming its chrysalis. And it's like, what the hell's going on here? I'm part of my evolution. I'm not down there listening to that nonsense anymore. I'm up here now and I'm spinning myself into goo. It literally has to disintegrate itself. It has to shed all of its identity. And then, we're not even done yet with that struggle. If you cut open a chrysalis, that butterfly will never fly. What gives butterfly its strength is its struggle. What gives you its strength is your struggle. How do you know if the changes you're going through are good ones for your future? Does it feel good to you? If it feels good to you, it's good for you. Okay. And not in a way that we get lost in substances. Like I know a lot of people will be like, well, what about drugs and alcohol? That's not good for you. It's good for your brain chemistry to numb your growth. But I'm saying is like you start doing something and you just double down on it. So you like being in nature? you double down on going to nature. Maybe like Nico, it's so funny when Nico, who's my producer, just came back from time in the woods. And when I found out he was in the woods, my mind had a total glimpse of a future for him working for the National Park Service. And I just told him right now, right? Hello, surprise. Being in nature, being a guide, being out in the wilderness. So when we were talking, I meant to tell him earlier, but I get to tell you now, surprise, surprise, Luna saw a future for you when you're surrounded by nature, educating people about it. It is interesting. I was like, well, that's not what you do right now. So you find these things on the daily. I check in on myself on the daily. I almost check in on myself on the hourly. And sometimes if I'm feeling really off, like today, I check in on myself on the minute. The principal reason as a sign that I was taking was electronics were working weird around me today. So I didn't want to go into a studio with probably hundreds of thousands of dollars of equipment. I was getting constant ringing in my ear. I checked in with my spirit team and I said, I've got to get up. I got to go. I got to go to get ready and drive to the studio. And my spirit team said, halt. And I was like, what? They said, stay home, stream from home today. I said, I prefer being in the studio and being around amazing people that are at 2 and 6 creator studios. But it basically said, pause, stream from home, stay away from the general population today. I was like, you got it. You don't tell me twice, right? So you're evolving. What if it isn't you're breaking down? I always say a breakdown comes before a breakthrough. And a lot of people will be like, oh, my life's falling apart. Fantastic. If your life is falling apart, fantastic. That's spirit trying to move you and you didn't listen. Remember I said it comes with repeated messages? You didn't listen the 9,000 times it was trying to tell you that's a toxic marriage. That's a toxic relationship. That's a toxic job. That's a toxic home you're living in. And you wouldn't listen. You're like, well, I'm just going about my day. So it started making it more difficult. You still didn't listen. Then it started making it even more difficult. And you still didn't listen until it turned up the heat so much in that relationship, in that job, in that home, in that insert whatever it is, that you're like, I can't tolerate this anymore. Should have listened the 9,000 times beforehand, but you were too afraid to jump. You were too afraid to look at the signs. You were too afraid to use your intuition. You were too afraid to tap into your own unique self. And it goes back to this idea that we have been programmed. The Toltec called it the mitote. It is a programming that happens at birth, that we have this most beautiful, pure soul, and then experiences program us. That comes out of the work of the Four Agreements by Don Miguel Ruiz, which if you've not read that book, absolutely spectacular book. Highly recommend it. If after this you can't remember what it was called, just send me a DM. We talk about the fact that our experiences, our environments program our vision, our perspective, right? So it takes a while sometimes to move us into what we're supposed to be aligned with, where we were supposed to be in our soul's agreement and our soul contract, but we got derailed in a way, because I truly believe the ones that become most spiritually evolved are the ones that went through the shittiest lives in the beginning of their life. Somewhere now about that midpoint, I want to say it's after 36. I don't know why I said 36, 37, but it seems like after 36, 37, if you're blessed enough to get beyond those years, because some people just don't, that's when the people that have suffered the most here had the most success this way. And I don't know why Spirit's telling me that's the age, but it is. You may be awakening. And awakening is not like some beautiful, fluffy movie where you're like, there's angels and cherubs chirping, and all of a sudden you feel like you're a yogi and you're super enlightened, and now you're going to open an ashram, which, ashrams are fabulous. Okay. But that's not what it looks like. It is painful. It's messy. It's, again, those micro moments where you choose yourself. There's those micro moments, and spirit will test the shit out of you. Spirit will test you. It will continue to put you in the same situation until you learn to elevate and choose you and choose the right path for yourself, as opposed to the path that is of least resistance that you think you should do, so people will not dislike you. So people will not think you're weird. So people will not, I don't give a rat's ass again. And when you get to that level of personal power, you scare the Jesus out of people. You literally scare people because they don't want to be around you, because you see in them all this dysfunction. And I'm not, like, again, not from a place of judgment, just from a place of pattern recognition, discernment, and intuition. And they don't want to be around you because you now hold up a mirror. You hold up that mirror and they don't like looking in it because they'd rather live in the illusion than come into the awakening. And that may resonate with you. And feel free at any time, jump into this conversation. Feel free to comment. Nico's in the studio taking a look at those comments, but people would rather live in the illusion, okay, than transform to the awakening. And I see that respectfully on social media too. You would rather be entertained than informed, okay? So the question again is, what if you are awakening? What if you are awakening? What would that look like? What would that feel like? What if you are awakening? And again, those of you that sit on these apps, on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and all you do is doom scroll, that is you pausing your evolution. I do it sometimes too. Like, I'll catch myself and I'm looking for things. I'm looking for inspiration. I'm looking for a sign. But the real signs and all the inspiration come from yourself. You go back to the concept of that methode and the programming and what education was supposed to be. The original root of the word for education was educare, which means to draw from within. Where I feel like our educational system, after being in it for 25 years, it's more they want to rip your head apart and pour information in. I'm going to dilute all this information, and sometimes it's not even true facts, right? It's just regurgitated nonsense. And if you look at, and I'm going to get myself in trouble for saying this, and again, I was in education. Then again, I was working for an educational publisher. Okay. I'll tell you, you have to really go down the rabbit hole to find out who's controlling how we're educating our youth and their intention. We were never meant to be sovereign souls. They don't want us to be sovereign souls. So that's why it is sometimes quite a journey. We were just supposed to be widgets in the system, widgets and workers. So I encourage you even more now as we come into this age, an age that's so beautiful, after so much pain, after going through your own individual struggles and awakening. This is now a new era. And the part I'm most excited about, not that screw it, I'm excited. I'm excited because the people, the narcissists, the unhinged, the ones that are running around with demonic trails inside of them, the NPCs, they will not be able to sustain this new earth. And they will go literally mad. So it's almost reverse. They used to put people that were intuitive, healers, all of that into asylums. Now it's flipped. The healers, the intuitive, the shamanic are going to be doing the leading. And it's about damn time. It's about damn time. Question coming in, why do I keep attracting the same type of negative, bad influence people? Well, honey, because you're on a pattern. You got to break your limiting beliefs. That's one of the works. So if you see up in the corner somewhere, there is a QR code to connect with me. It's the same spaces, places, and faces. That's a result of you creating a pattern for yourself, of you not having and giving that self-love. You are literally like a radio station, okay? And you're emanating out a frequency based on your experience, based on your lack, based on your limiting beliefs, based on a perspective that had probably been beaten down from childhood, that you're only good enough this bandwidth, right? So you're broadcasting country, but you want rock and roll. You're not going to find someone until you clear away all that nonsense and stop saying, woe is me. Stop being the victim in your life, be the victor. I highly recommend if you find yourself in that situation and you are truly ready for evolution, please schedule a one-on-one, look at our protocols, explore. If you are really truly wanting to jump right now, like I said, tomorrow night at 6 o'clock, I am doing 10, actually now I'm down to 9. There's only 9 spots left for our 6-6 portal transformation. It is a reading, it is an intention, and it also is something that gets sent to your house for you to continue to follow up on. That's on TikTok. Check out my bio over there. But until you move, you're not going to move. Okay? That's where this happens next, the secret sauce. As we look at segment 5, we talk about the sacred return, right? So we've got the signs to move. We're not people pleasing. And the next segment, the last segment, we're going to take a look at the sacred return. You got to trust yourself. Again, like you like an outfit, you don't need to ask 4 people, does this look good on me? Do you feel good in it? Do you feel beautiful in it? Then you wear it. I watched this clip of this girl that was going to look for wedding dresses. And she was so excited. She put this wedding dress on and she was there with her future mother-in-law and her mother, and then I think it was her couple of like bridesmaids, friends, whatever. And she put this dress on and she's like, oh my God, I feel like a princess in this. I feel beautiful. And the mother-in-law was like, you look inappropriate. You can't be in a church wedding. She wasn't even having a church wedding. And then the mother said something to the friend. All 4 of them agreed, because the moment somebody once says one criticism, nobody wants to say something different than what the initial person does. So they started to agree. And she just looked defeated, and dress after dress after dress. She felt beautiful. She stopped trusting herself until she's like, well, what do you guys think? What do you think? No, what do you think? What do you want to wear? What do you want to look like? And if they don't like it, well, they get an opportunity to either show up or shut up, or show up and shut up, or not show up at all. And that's okay. Listen to your intuition. Oh my God, please. Especially if you are in the younger generation, any generation, right? But I feel like for some reason, millennials and Gen X, given our life experience and what we kind of did, we're awakening to our intuition. Maybe Gen Z is still sleeping on it. That's okay. Some of you, it just depends on your life experience. I don't want to make it a age thing. I don't want to make it a sex thing. I don't want to make it an orientation thing. I just want to make it a soul thing. Listen to your damn intuition. It can save your life. It has saved my life on countless times where I was in bad situations, and praise to my angel team for getting me the hell out of there. Okay. Honor your boundaries. I get, I get so enraged when people don't honor their own boundaries. And they try to tell me they're working on it, but they keep the same pattern of the bullshit. And I call them out on it, and I'll be like, that's not honoring your boundaries. That's just trying to keep the peace, right? That's just trying to keep the peace. So you agreed to this version of something to keep the peace. You're not honoring your damn boundaries. You're just still trying to have approval sucking and people pleasing. You don't honor yourself. You honor everybody else first. Choose yourself. Honest to God, it is not being selfish. It is self-care. It is being responsible. And if you are whole in yourself, you show up so tremendously different for other people. When you're coming from a healed perspective versus a hurting perspective, your perspective changes. And I feel like I can hold more compassion when I know I've given it to myself first. I can hold more love when I know I've given it to myself first. I can hold more healing when I know I've given it to myself first. And say no with guilt, with no guilt. Say no without guilt, period. Say no. Practice it. If you're 50-50 on something, just practice saying no. Practice saying no. No. That's not going to work for me. And then you don't even need to explain anything. No is no. No is a complete sentence. And no is exactly what needs to be said. Okay. Release what no longer fits. Oh, Lord. Treat your energy like your closet. When it doesn't fit you anymore and it's out of fashion, get rid of it. I don't care. Like, I had friends, honest to God, and bless them. I hope they're doing well. I had friends that I'd known since I was 3 years old. So from the age of 3 to the age of 49, I carried that energy. 46 years I carried that energy. Finally, right before I was turning 50, I couldn't anymore. I didn't know them anymore. They knew an old version of me that just didn't exist anymore. So respectfully, I said, thank you, bless you, goodbye, because it didn't fit anymore. And sometimes you just have to walk away and release what no longer fits. I've walked away from people that in the middle of loving them because this wasn't right. I knew it was hurtful. You know, I'm not saying give up on people, but I'm saying when you realize that it doesn't fit your energy anymore, don't hold on to something because it's familiar or because you don't want to hurt their feelings. Again, that's the people pleasing, or because you're trying to seek approval of the masses of the group. Okay. You let it go. And sometimes you have to realize maybe that energy will come back to you. Maybe that person will come back to you. But just like that caterpillar crawling up the tree to get away from the gossip, to get away from the low vibe stuff, once you get up that tree, you can't go backwards. You can't go backwards to dicking around with caterpillars. You're a butterfly now. The struggle broke you out. You can go visit them, say, hey, what's up? Fly over them, maybe give a little butterfly wing wave. But after that, I mean, I'm not saying be rude. Again, this is never from the perspective of being an ugly person. It's from being a person that is healed and understands their boundaries. But don't let me misunderstand what I'm saying. Yes, it's love and light. But as I say all the time, I'm love and light and a hell of right. If you cross my boundary intentionally, first time you get a warning, next time you might get a punch to the face. And I'm not trying to be violent. I'm just saying I will protect my peace, my energy, my time, my currency, which is money, energy too, also currency, above all costs. Above all costs. Remember who you were before survival becomes your personality. Ooh. Maybe you like the label of being the strong one. Maybe you like the label of being the bitch. Maybe you like the label of being the pushover. Who do you want to be? It isn't until you lean into that energy that you're going to become her or him or it or they or them, whatever. I'm not making this about gender. I'm making this about spiritual alignment. Okay. Let that sit for a second. Let that sit for a second. Personality is truly just a series of you choosing, like that young girl that said, why do I keep ending up in these bad relationships? You've developed that personality of somebody that can't ask for what they want, that can't demand this is how I want to be treated. Okay. And they're like, well, men aren't that same. And you, oh, listen to me. You raise the bar, you raise the reality, you raise the intention. I don't take scraps from people anymore. I'm in a beautiful marriage with a husband that brings me home flowers just because he thought they were pretty and saw them at the store. That opens every door, that knows which side of the sidewalk to walk on, that checks in with me on the daily, even though he has a very busy job. You raise the bar, you raise the reality, right? And what would it look like if you started trusting yourself again? What would it look like if you said, okay, I'm showing up for me. I'm trusting myself. You know, all these people want to go to this event. I don't want to go. That's okay. The whole idea of FOMO, the fear of missing out, is again, people pleasing. I have no fear of missing anything out because I don't miss out on things I want to do. I do them. If I want to go somewhere, I go there. And you'd be like, well, Luna, there's money and blah, blah. Yeah, okay, great. Yes, there are things you need to be concerned with. But at the end of the day, I don't put those roadblocks up to what my spirit wants me to do. I encourage all of you to come over tomorrow at 6 p.m. Central on the 6th, so June 6th at 6 for this amazing event. Only 9 more of you have the potential to have the transformation. You can be a part of watching other people's transformations or listening to some advice that might come up that might spark you, but that soul returning to self, that 6-6 portal energy, there's only 9 more spots left. I highly recommend you get on that. If you can't make it, okay, make that choice. But I'll leave you with some journal prompts, and we're going to talk about them maybe next time you can come back and say, yeah, this is how I changed. Always come back and visit us. Make sure giving us a follow here and across all of our social medias. What am I pretending not to know? What do you know to be true, but you're trying to hide that about the end of a relationship, the end of a career, the end of a friendship, the end of anything? What are you pretending? Oh my God, my throat chakra is starting to go. What version of myself am I ready to release? Oh Lord. What version of yourself are you ready to release? That's a tough one. I think that people-pleasing mother was the hardest one for me to release. And then it was hard to watch how my children reacted. What part of myself is asking to come home? What part of you wants to come home? What part of you wants to come home? The most important takeaway I can say from this is for women, and I'll speak to women, especially Gen X sisters and millennials. We were told we could have it all. We could have the job, the career, the 2.2 kids, the picket fence, the cars that you wanted. But you never asked yourself, yes, we can have it all, but do you want it all? Do you want to? And we were told, you just got to do more, be more, say more, this more, get thinner, get thicker, get healthier, get to the point you do not need to become more. Let me make that very clear. It's not about becoming more. It's about unbecoming what was never meant to be you. It's about sitting in that energy. You simply need to return to yourself. You need to return to who you were before the world convinced you you weren't enough. You need to return back to yourself, back to that person, that little joyful child, right? Before you were being bullied or made fun of or teased about this or that, that would just sing outside or color or create or be or whatever it was. With the 6/6 portal transformation, which is tomorrow, it's not about becoming someone new. And we're going to do this amazing experience. It's a whole experience tomorrow. It's about remembering who you always were beneath the expectations, obligations, wound, and noise. Who are you underneath that mitote, that programming? And how do you get back to that person? Start doing that work. Start studying that no. Start living in your authenticity. Because I guarantee you, when you step into that, and maybe you're just feeling rudderless. Again, lunagoddess.org, reach out to us. Scan that QR code for more information. Because maybe you just need someone that's walked the path to come back, grab your hand and say, it's okay. Come follow me. Come with me. As always, we are so blessed to have this studio. I'm not in the studio now, but thank you to 2 and 6 Creator Studios, always looking for people that want to partner with us in this awakening journey, that want to be part of our intuitive innovations, that are part of coming back to self and living a very authentic life. So if you are one of those companies that is living in your authenticity and would love to work with us, please reach out to us. As always, as we reach into the 6/6 portal energy, continue to strive to live in your authenticity, to be first to yourself, to always belong to yourself, and to always continue to look for your own intuitive innovations.